Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called Sunset Creek. It's a 7 by 10, and I completed this very recently, probably a couple weeks ago, and just been itching to share it with you because I really like it. It's actually quite a departure for me in many ways. First of all, I've always wanted to paint these sort of overgrown creek type scenes, but usually I just kind of get overwhelmed with all the detail in the reference, and it's not till quite recently that I've got a pretty good handle on that sort of thing. And also I have to say, this is a case where working on the textured board really helped me out. It's very hard to get persnickety with detail because of the texture, and also it's quite easy to indicate detail just with, a couple swipes of the brush. Not to mention it's pretty small, 7 by 10. As a matter of fact, this is essentially going to be a study for a larger painting at some point when I start feeling like painting larger again. I have it in my mind to do all my studies at this 7 by 10 size, or maybe 6 by 8 for the verticals. I like 6 by 8 too for a more squarish looking type of layout. But anyway, I really like the way this scene came out. It's also one of these, it's kind of an extension of one I did a few months back that I shared with you, and that one was called, I think, Amber Pond, and this is kind of an extension of that, in that it's all tilted into various yellows, veering from yellow into green and yellow into orange, but going nowhere near blues or even violets. So that whole part of the spectrum's been eliminated, and that is actually a hallmark of tonalism and something I've been playing with quite a lot more lately. Really to some good effect. I'm pretty happy with where my painting's been lately, and I'm happy with this painting. And speaking of being happy with paintings, I shared a painting with you guys, a couple Morning Haze, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and just sold that, and I'm real thrilled with that because that's also very reflective of the new approach I've been taking with the texture. It's a different mindset about color as well. It's kind of a shift. And one thing I was point out to my students is that a lot of times progression in art is like going up a staircase, but you're only very small and the staircase is very large. So you'll hit a plateau, and then you'll make some progress forward, and then you're going to hit a wall, and then you're going to have to struggle for a while, and then eventually, God willing, you'll go over that wall, and you'll be on a new plateau, and you'll be making forward progress again until you hit another wall, and it just keeps going like this, I guess, until the day you escape this mortal coil, so to speak. Anyway, I've progressed in several ways in that sort of direction, so I feel good about that, and I feel good about this painting, and like I say, I've been itching to share it with you. So we had day 25 of 25 days of tonalism yesterday, and we are going to be rolling out to day 26, just like I did last time. And I'm furiously working on, I did complete volume 3 just yesterday. So those are going to dry, and I got to give them a little coat of liquid, and then I've got to do all my photography, but I'm hoping to get all that rolled out, by the time 2 weeks is up. And I'm sure I can manage it for at least the first video in the new series. So that's one of the main things that's been going on in the studio. Speaking of what's been going on in the studio, I've been spending time this last week just addressing that, and it's kind of been a mixed blessing because I really enjoy doing those studies and finishing them off. On the other hand, I have quite a few interesting scenes I want to paint. I've been really into the 3.5 by 5 size. Actually, I've been really into this 7 by 10 size as well. It's almost like the perfect dimensions to me. It's basically two 5 by 7 side by side, and it's perfect to me in that it's not too panoramic. It's slightly panoramic, you know. It's closest equivalent, I think it's kind of similar to a 12 by 16, you know, but it's got just that little bit of edge of panoramic over 12/16. It's perfect. 8 by 10, I've done a zillion 8 by 10s as horizontals. I really love 8 by 10 as a vertical. I've never had a problem with that. As a horizontal, I tend to find it kind of a squat. Not one of my favorite proportions. That's why I kind of came up with the 7 by 10. Not that I've invented 7 by 10, but just thinking, well, if I was to take an inch off of this, it would be perfect, and it would also be 2 up from my other favorite size, which is 5 by 7. I love that proportion, and I have for years. 5 by 7 is very close to 12 by 16 as well. Anyway, last week I did a bunch of those, finished up those studies. I did I started a few small paintings. Well, by started, I mean 90% of those get done in the first pass. They're so small, but which is why I sell them very reasonably. And as a matter of fact, you can find some really cool 3.5 by 5s on my site for, you know, very cheap prices. I think they're like $90 without a frame, and if you want a frame, I throw it in for $15, which is pretty close to my cost on those little frames. But pardon me, I like to make you happy, and you know, you've got to finish off your painting with a frame. I've never been one of these you know, gallery stretched canvas fellows, but then again, I've always kind of worked in this more formal vein too. But I just love what a good frame does for painting, and these frames I offer they're sufficient. They look good in those frames. You could certainly go with a much wider, like plein air type style frame, and that would be awesome too. But unfortunately, due to the expense of shipping and stuff from here in New Zealand, I pretty much keep it simple. And but it's important to me to offer a framing option for people, and most of you that have bought in the store have taken advantage of that. If you haven't, and you know, either way is fine with me. But like I say, I like to offer that anyway. My store, landscapepainter.co.nz. You can see it up at the top of the screen there. You know, also you can follow my blog there, and I won't get too much into the commercial marketing stuff right now. I might hit you up again at the end there of the blog cast. Is it a video cast? It's a video vlog, I think they anyway. So you can see we're progressing on our little painting here, and you know, I love this type of scene, and I really love being in the woods, and I love being when the trees are all overgrown, like a pond or a creek. There's nothing that's, well, there's a lot of things just as beautiful, but it's awesome. I love that feeling. It's kind of magical, and yeah, this one's in my possession still. I had someone looking at it the other day, but I think I'll throw it up on the store just for giggles, and you guys can enjoy it there too. So the other thing I've been thinking about was, as far as what's going on in the studio, is I've decided as soon as I finish, like I've got like 2 more 3 by 5s and a couple more 3.5 by 3.5s. No, it's 3.5 by 5. Excuse me. A couple 3.5 by 3.5s that I'm going to just work my way through the rest of the boards I prepped, which a lot of those are 5 by 5, 5 by 7, and probably move into a few 6 by 8s, 7 by 10s, and I think I have some textured that are up to 12 by 16, so I am started feeling like getting into some larger stuff again. And like I say, a lot of this was a reaction to being working for almost a year, towards that museum show I had, and I knew that's a big space. I knew that a bunch of little tiny paintings on those big empty walls wouldn't be good for the show. However, the thing about little small paintings, and they are a solid part of the tonalist tradition, mistake. They look great in little nooks in your house, little side walls, and they look good on a little easel on the mantle. They look good on your desk. You might not think, oh, I'm looking at one right now, one of my small paintings I have in a little easel right here on my desk, and I really enjoy it. I in fact, the last one I had like that I sold, and because I was really digging that. I sort of missed the painting, but on one hand, on the other hand, I'm really glad that somebody else is enjoying it, and I can make more paintings. And that's the thing, you want to always be moving forward, not just as an artist, but as a person. I would say you need to be making forward progress all the time. And just to kind of lecture you a bit, I think if you are someone who's doing art, you need to do art all the time. You can't just be putting aside a little special day, which is your art day. You need to keep your hand in every day. And people tell me how busy they are, but I knew if I was to follow them around, I'd see a lot of time spent doing other things. And where attention goes, energy flows. This is the great truism. And a lot of you know I've been into the marketing and doing the social media and stuff, and I've always been kind of loath to get into that because I'm so selfish about my time. I just want to spend my time painting, and that's my balance, my struggle. But the reason why I'm selfish with my painting time is because I know that this force of momentum is really one of the greatest energies that we can harness, one of the greatest principles that we can harness in our lives. And that especially applies to art. If you are on a good streak with your painting, why would you want to stop? Just keep going and going and going until you end up moving into another sphere and a different kind of streak. And of course you're going to hit roadblocks, you're going to hit barriers. And how fun would it be if it just came so easy that there was no struggle at all? Everything you did that came off your brush was absolutely incredible and glorious. That would be boring, and you probably wouldn't even bother. It'd just be too easy. Not that I enjoy painting just for the struggle of it. In fact, most of the time I'm not into struggling. That's one of the other reasons I like momentum. I like to paint like I would eat or sleep or do any of the other things that we humans do. It should be like that. It should be an expression of your everyday self. And I'm a firm believer in that. Now, that said, I have a time and place I paint. I mean, I get up and I go to my studio, and I do that every day except today, which is Sunday. Speaking of, this is Sunday, November 12th, here in not so sunny New Zealand today. It's not exactly rainy either, just kind of half-hearted. Pardon me. I think there's some pollen around or something. I'm a little sniffly, so I apologize for that. What else is going on? We just have another minute here. So next week, be basically starting a new series, and I'm so glad that I'm actually through with the 25 Days of Tonalism Volume 2. That's going to leave me free to do other things, but I am already kind of mentally thinking about what I want to do with Volume 3, and I want to kind of kick things up a notch, and I may even revisit some of my favorites. I recently did a study after Francis Murphy, a painting, one of my favorite paintings is called A Stormy Day, and that was done in the 7x10 size, and I really, really, really enjoyed that, and it came out really awesome. And I know that it's going to be appreciated down the road. I mean, probably not maybe as much as the original, which I have no idea where that is. It could be in some rich guy's den for all I know. But I'm happy with my study, and it's got me thinking there's a few others of my favorites that I'd like to do in that 7x10 size. So we'll see. Anyway, see, we're getting close to the end. Please go to my site, landscapepainter.co.nz. Follow my mailing list. I'm going to be doing a newsletter, and I've already started working on a special video that's going to be available only to subscribers of my mailing list. You get to my mailing list by going to my site and clicking on the big button. There's several ways to join. Please join. I also have a great store there, as you know. If you are a YouTube subscriber, you get discount 10%. Just type in fine art. I'll be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.